Your behaviors, you don't realize it, but you are being programmed.
God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. The inventors, creators, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Over half a century ago, Bertrand Russell observed that the cinema was perhaps the most important of all the modern agents of propaganda, leading to almost worldwide uniformity. And the cinema of his day exerted a minuscule influence compared with the big media of today. But decades ago, already, Russell recognized that the majority of young people in almost all civilized countries derived their ideas of love, of honor, of the way to make money, and of the importance of good clothes from the evening spent in seeing what Hollywood thinks good for them. I doubt whether all the churches and schools combined have as much influence as the cinema on the opinions of the young. The producers of Hollywood are the high priests of a new religion. And Edward Bernays, the founder of modern propaganda and advertising, was able to say this about the media masters of nearly 100 years ago. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. Now, if the media elite exercised that level of control way back then, how much more manipulation can take place today with the multi-billion-dollar, high-tech 21st century propaganda tools at their disposal? But we have become a generation of media addicts, opening our minds to hypnotic devices. We've unknowingly been programmed with a worldview and a lifestyle by the plug-in drug of modern media. To make matters worse, recent studies have firmly established the seriously brain-damaging effects of screen-based entertainment. For example, just 10 hours of gaming over only 1 week resulted in weaker prefrontal brain function. Just imagine what hours per day, every day, year after year will do to this essential part of the brain.
Your behaviors, you don't realize it, but you are being programmed.
God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains.
2.7 times increased likelihood for depression. We saw every mental health problem skyrocketing. 3-fold increase in teen suicide for girls aged 12 to 14. Why isn't this on headline news every night? I mean, this is huge stuff.
It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works.
Children's screen time, the majority of parents have zero interaction with their children at all during those times of childhood media use. They are spending twice as much time just watching Netflix as spending quality time with their kids. I love it when researchers finally come out and just say it. They're like, it's contaminating the family environment. It's catastrophic in its effect on family life. They're losing emotional intelligence, social intelligence, facial expressions, bodily gestures, all the things that are a part of human communication are being lost on a generation. He's like, we're ripping apart the social fabric of the country. You couldn't come up with stronger language because these are the guys that invented it, and they're doing their apology tour.
And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while. You're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology.
Weaponized media, that is what we are dealing with. Your brain on Minecraft looks like a brain on drugs. He says it's actually easier to treat a heroin addict than a true screen addict. It's the exact same methods of addiction that big tech is using, that the casinos have been using.
The inventors, creators understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Are we now in the 21st century, entering upon a new dark age, the largest and most standardized and most centralized form of attention control in history. The mass mind can be shaped now in the 21st century like never before. This is something that is programming your mind. You are not in control of your thoughts. When you are subjected to big tech's manipulation, they are doing what Edward Bernays only could have dreamed of.
Steve Jobs, before he died, did a famous interview with the New York Times where he admitted that his own children do not use an iPad. They don't have devices in the home. They have very limited screen time altogether. Bill Gates' children had a limit of 45 minutes maximum per day of screen time, and it was cut off in the evenings at a certain point. His children were not permitted to use cell phones until they were in their teen years, and that was for talking, not smartphone use as we consider it today. His wife says, "We wish we would have been even more strict than we were." Current Apple CEO Tim Cook came out in an interview with the same thing. He doesn't have his own children, but he said, "I wish and hope my own nephew would not use social media. I don't want him on there at all." Adam Alter of the very good book Irresistible tells of interviews he did with video game designers, where the video game designers themselves admit, "We don't even touch the video games because they're so addictive." What do all these people know that the rest of us are in the dark on? Alex Constantinople, the CEO of the Outcast Agency, another tech firm, her little children, ages 3 and 5, have zero screen time at all. Her older children, it's very limited. And it's not just her. You consult all of the millennial-aged parents who have been building these technological tools at the big Silicon Valley companies. There have been a number of exposés, investigative articles that have probed into how do these parents live life with their children. Not the way the rest of us are, that's for sure. They have contracts with their nannies that my 3-year-old will not be on a smart device. In fact, the nannies are going to be off their phones and doing things with the children. Where do they put their children in school? The most sought after school in Silicon Valley is the Waldorf School of the Peninsula, which uses very primitive methods of learning. Number 2, pencils and gardening and things that we would call true education. So in Silicon Valley, it is uncool to have your little kids using smart devices. Why is there a stigma about that from the people who are making these applications? Why do the biggest names, the CEOs, the inventors of these tools, if you can call them that, why do the tech magicians who know the wizardry of big tech come out and admit these things? What do they know that the rest of us don't know is the question everybody is asking.